this is Hillary Clinton we're talking about.
I would get this if she was out there trying to hawk some type of like reverse mortgage product.
Right.
Do you know what I mean? Like I would get this if like she was consciously aware of trying to manipulate boomers and greatest generation people, like, you know, people and sell some product to them. But the complete, I don't want to say naivete, because it's not, it's the delusion is what it is.
Yeah.
It's a delusion, and it's somebody in an incredible bubble. We are so deep into get off my lawn territory here that I honestly can't even express it. I just wish that she would find it somewhere in her heart to give the country a break and step back away from these events. Now, of course, she has every right, you know, like anybody does, to speak her mind, but one has to take responsibility for the damage that they're doing. And this is just, she is trumpeting both a losing and deluded cause, and doing so at the expense of some of the stuff that I would imagine she believes she supports.
But at the same time, it's almost like she has a set worldview, and as she talks about other people being propagandized, she is so unwilling to challenge her own worldview and is projecting that almost outwardly. And yet she, like, I mean, I don't know. I think it's helpful now. We've discarded the Clintons with Epstein, and now with this. These are the kinds of politics we need to leave behind. This is her speaking at Miriam Adelson's conference, by the way. One of the
largest donors
donors
to Donald Trump.
So yeah, I mean, sticking together here.
Like donated like almost like, I don't know,
100 million
over 100 million, like probably
this time.
This time. You know, at least 10%, maybe closer to 20%, maybe 40% of what he ran on.
Didn't she like basically pay for him to move the Capitol?
Oh, that was the first time around.
First time,
yes.
too,
yeah.
Students, smart, well-educated young people from our own country, from around the world, where were they getting their information? They were getting their information from social media, particularly TikTok. That is where they were learning about what happened on October 7th, what happened in the days, weeks, and months to follow. That's a serious problem. It's a serious problem for democracy, whether it's Israel or the United States, and it's a serious problem for our young people. And it was frankly shocking to me how little the students we were encountering, not only in this class we teach, which is a very large class, international relations, about crisis decision making, but students more generally. And that's why I mentioned the social media piece of it, because when you would try to talk to them to engage in some kind of reasonable discussion, it was very difficult because they did not know history, they had very little context, and what they were being told on social media was not just one-sided, it was pure propaganda. And so when you think about how to tell Israel's story, and it's important, it's not just looking internally, it's looking externally, and particularly looking at young people, because, it's not just the usual suspects, it is a lot of young Jewish Americans who don't know the history and don't understand.
Okay. First off, I don't know what the F she means by the usual suspects. Oh, is there more? There's more. All right. I mean, this is so offensive. And it is so indicative of somebody who is so incredibly out of touch and so set in her ways, so convinced. Was it Bill Clinton that went and called it Judea and Samaria?
Yep.
I mean, this is even in the context of like liberal Zionism, this is bat crap crazy stuff. that she's talking about.
And she has the temerity to lecture young Jewish Americans as what kind of Christian is she? I don't really care. But the fact that she can have the arrogance to sit up there and say that, and the fact that she expects a positive reaction from that audience at this Zionist fundraiser or event, essentially, says everything that we need to know about the sincerity of people believing that protecting Israel is in some way protecting Jewish people.
Put up the volume on this clip. I think it's a little bit low for people.
Who don't know the history and don't understand. Eric, I was talking to Condi Rice, and she said in an interview that I did
War criminal?
after the 20-point plan came out. She and I were on CBS, and she said, when people were chanting from the river to the sea, she would ask the students, what river, what sea? They didn't know. I had the same experience. A lot of the challenge is with younger people. More than 50% of young people in America get their news from social media. So just pause on that for a second. They are seeing short-form videos, some of them totally made up, some of them not at all representing what they claim to be showing, and that's where they get their information.
Yeah.
It's the Jordan to the Mediterranean. It is completely irrelevant.
Yeah, it doesn't matter what the names of the bodies of water are. It's about the idea that in Greater Israel, which is basically how the society has functioned in the West Bank being illegally occupied and the Gaza Strip basically being an open-air concentration camp, of course, East Jerusalem too, that the reality is that Palestinians already live under Israeli rule. So when we say from the river to the sea, what we mean is an end to the occupation and equal rights for all, and just dealing with the reality of everybody living together. Remember when she was calling Bernie Sanders supporters racist? You support an ethno-state. Remember when she was talking about how Trump's all into alternative facts or whatever? These are alternative facts. When she talks about this being driven by young people, this is just factually incorrect. And this is almost a year old, this poll, but still quite relevant. When you look at the Democrats here in terms of where negative views of Israel are rising in terms of percentage, the highest there is from 50 and older for Democrats. Because younger Democrats were already quite critical of Israel by this point. So the entire premise of what she's saying is that all those 50-plus-year-olds that are on TikTok, that must have really spread to them now. I don't know a ton.
I got to tell you,
Yeah.
that as a over 50-year-old who looks at the social media, it's hypnotic.
Right.
I can't.
So when she lectures Jewish kids who don't know their own history, maybe she should take a look at the actual data that shows that what's really driving the fact that only 8% of Democrats, the party she's supposed to be a part of, support Israel's military action in Gaza, that it must just all be TikTok hallucinations and psychosis. No, it's older people, and the information they're getting is also leading them to conclude, which now over 70% of Democrats say Israel's committing genocide. Like, who are you talking to?
This is the equivalent of like Anita Bryant saying that the problem with Vietnam is that we've got too many news media people coming and showing footage of war, and it's not right. I mean, that is exactly what the analogy is. Maybe it wasn't Anita Bryant, it was some other reactionary lunatic at the time, but that's who she is now. She is complaining not about disinformation, because they're really, I mean, honestly, like, what's the disinformation? Like, what is it that we're seeing on our TV now when 83%, if not more, of the structures in Gaza completely obliterated, when we see tens of thousands of children dead? There's no dispute about that. That's not a controversial statement by any stretch.
It is to Sarah Hurwitz. The wall of dead children.
That's what she's saying too.
No, she agrees there's a wall of dead children.
Yeah.
She's just saying that it emotionally impacts people's ability to make a proper assessment about the situation.
Same point.
Like, what is the point of any of it if a wall of dead babies does not impact your decision making? Like,
yeah.
what, like how sort of like demented and how much they've lost the plot. They're like, she cannot point to any type of misinformation that these kids supposedly have that has tainted their perspective on this conflict. It is a genocide, and that's the part that what she is lamenting is that for the first time, we have a media universe where stuff is getting outside of the
Traditional channels.
the traditional channels, and is not being gate kept. That's what she is talking about.
I just can't get over the temerity of her to lecture young Jews and say they don't know their history. I mean, the amount of arrogance that she can say, deploy there, to sit there and say that kind of thing. Perhaps young Jews really do know their history. Perhaps they understand the history of the Holocaust and they think never again for anybody. And instead of like seeing a bunch of dead babies and having the reaction as to like, this is too much for me. I can't get too emotional about opposing this genocide. Maybe that taught them like, oh, I see some of the history that I learned about in Hebrew school. Maybe I see that in these starving children, these starving people. That is like, I mean, it's an obvious lesson. And the fact that she's still trying to claim that there should be no connection is like deeply disturbing. Yeah.
Even Trump, who was lying, pretended to have more empathy for those children than Hillary Clinton.
Marjorie
it's
Taylor
true.
Greene pretends to have more empathy for those children than Hillary Clinton. And that I do not say that lightly.
Hey, folks, don't forget to hit the subscribe button and check out our daily show. We do it every day at 12 p.m. Eastern for about 2.5 hours. We even take phone calls. You should check that out.